Hi, it's Wayne from howtofish.com.au, and I'll show you how to make an adjustable paternoster rig or boom rig that can really improve your fishing. Now, for a while now I've been experimenting with different types of setups. The one that I really like of late has been this paternoster rig. All it is a boom section that you set up that is not fixed in place. In other words, this can be moved. And I love that because it means that you can move it closer or further away from your source of burley, or from your other hook if you're getting tangles with them. And that will make a big difference to your fishing. In the past, when I was setting up a paternoster rig, which is just simply where you have a boom coming off your main line, so you can have, say, two hooks, both coming off, and that basically gives you two opportunities to catch fish, and it's above the weight. So the weight's on the bottom, usually because you're trying to keep out of rocks or weed, or maybe away from things like starfish and crabs. But what I've done is, once you tie on a T-knot, it's fixed in place. That's where it stays. Or if you tie on a swivel, a 3-point swivel, then it's stuck in place. With this paternoster rig, I can move it up and down as I need to, and that's what I really like. So just simply by setting it up the right way with a couple of line stops and some beads with a single swivel in place, you can move this further down, closer to where your burley is, or alternatively further away. And that really helps, especially if you're finding that the fish are biting at different depths. So I'll go through it with you because this has really changed my fishing.
All you're going to need for this is a line clip, some beads, float stops, a couple of swivels, and a bit of stiff tubing, but that's optional. The first thing you're going to do is just put a float stop onto your line, and that's really simple. Each one of these little float stoppers comes on a piece of wire. It has a circle or a loop at the end. You put your line through the loop and then pull that float stop onto your line. Next, just thread on one of your beads. These beads come in different sizes. I use relatively small ones. They appear neater on the line, and this is a lightweight paternoster rig, so you don't need big beads for that. Next, put on your swivel. Now you've got one end or one side of the paternoster boom. So all you're going to be doing now is duplicating that on the other side. Put your bead on and then put your line stop on, or your float stop on. And if you need to hold it tighter, if you want that to stay in place under more pressure, then you can put more than one of these line stops on there. So you can put two, sometimes even three if you needed to, and that then keeps it in place quite strong. I like to just have the one there. In most cases that's enough. It just means that on occasion when the fish are pulling hard, they can move this swivel up and down a little bit. But there you have it. Very, very neatly, you push those line stops together, that presses the beads against the swivel, and there you have that right angle to your line, which is what then you attach your hook line to. Next, what you want to do is thread your hook onto some line. This is the piece of line that you'll eventually cut once you've actually threaded and tied your hook. You'll cut that and then put that onto the swivel so that you've got your boom coming off your paternoster rig. So if you haven't or don't know how to tie a hook, it's very, very simple. You just thread the line through the eye of the hook, turn it over about 4 to 5 times. Once you've done that, you push the end of the line through the first loop that is nearest to the eye of the hook. Push it through there, and then to improve this, to make it a little bit stronger, you push that through that remaining loop that exists there. Once you've pushed that through, it makes it a lot stronger point, or a lot stronger knot. So having put that through, then you start to just pull that tight and always lubricate it. So as I'm pulling it tight, I'll lubricate this usually with a little bit of saliva, and by doing that, it stops the abrasiveness of the monofilament pulling against itself. So as you pull that tight, the monofilament is actually rubbing against itself. You pull it tight, it's got a little bit of saliva, and that then means that it won't cut in or weaken that line at all. And then usually I test that knot fairly well, just simply by putting it through the tweezers that I cut my line with. And there you go, you're ready to set this up. Cut that tag off fairly close to the hook, and you're right to go. Now this part of the process here is optional. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll cut a little piece of stiff tubing, thread it onto the line, so that when I actually tie that line and hook onto the swivel, I have a piece of stiff plastic that's actually holding it away from the main line. This just helps reduce tangles as it keeps it away from the main line. After I've threaded on that tubing, then all I do is connect that line, the monofilament, to my swivel so that I've completed the boom section. Now I've got the boom in place. A little bit later I'll move that pink tubing down over the knot near the swivel. But what I'll do is, before I do that, I'll just proceed with adding the rest of my gear to this. So the next thing I'll be doing is just putting the line through and getting another line stop on.
After putting on your stop, the next thing I'll do is put another bead on, another one of these little beads. And the reason I do that is the bead does tend to give a bit of protection to the line stops. It actually does hold off, because that's a little bit soft, these will hold off anything gripping into that line stop. And then what I'll do is I'll put on either a berley cage or a sinker if I want to. In this case, I'm going to use a berley cage because I like to use berley. These cages are made so that you can just mold the berley around them. I really like these when I'm fishing on a pier or if I'm fishing into a lake. But I use them in rivers as well. They work very, very well. So you just put that on, and then what happens is I can either fix that in place, or I can have that also as a running berley cage. So the next thing I'll do is put on another bead. There goes another bead and another line stop. Now, once I've done that, okay, then I have a lot of control over what I do here. That can be running. That is adjustable, fully adjustable, so I can move it up and down. Our berley cage on there, which is also adjustable if we need it to be, or we can fix it in place. And then finally, I might put another hook on this, but usually what I do is this is where I will tie on a swivel. I'll tie on a swivel here so that I can then have a fixed stop for this, so it doesn't run all the way down to the hook if it got snagged on something. So this is where I'll just simply put this on. I can add finally another hook to the bottom if I need to.
Now the last thing I'll do is move that piece of stiff plastic tubing up the line and push it over the knot next to the swivel, which will then hold it away from the main line and the swivel and creating that great boom.
So there you have it. Basically the easiest adjustable boom you could get, going down to also an adjustable position berley cage, and then finally a hook on the bottom if you need to, or you could have set up another boom across here and have your weight, your sinker or your berley cage on the bottom. You don't have to have the tubing, but the tubing, as you can see, does hold that quite proud. If you prefer not to have the tubing on your booms, you don't have to. What I tend to do, as you can see, that comes off quite nicely there. That is held proud of the main line, which is good. All I do is I use slightly heavier line than I've used here. So this is a little bit of a slightly heavier monofilament. And all it does is, because it's a little tiny bit stiffer, it'll hold it away like that anyway. But the great thing is, these things are movable, and sometimes you find that it's closer or further away from your burley or from in the depth of the water that the fish will bite. And then I make these up so that I've got a snap swivel on here, and so I can just attach that to my main line, take this off, because some of them I might just have a sinker on that, or I might have a different type of burley cage, or I might not have the hook at the bottom. I might have one that's got the two snoods coming off here. You don't have to have all of these little stoppers on here. What you can do is, this is the best setup I've seen for this type of rig, and these things here, you can just have that joined with a snap swivel or with a standard swivel. You can have that fixed in place. You don't have to have these. I like to make these adjustable so that I've got plenty of options with what I'm doing. And then finally, you can have a hook here or here. And the thing I like about this is I've put two different size hooks on. I've got a size 8 here, and I've got a size 12 here. Okay, two different baits for the different types of fish that might be around. And it's interesting to see which of these hooks gets the fish. And often I find it is the bottom one, but I've also been experimenting with my bait dips, and sometimes the one with the bait dip on it will be the one that goes first. So it's always good to know what is attracting those fish. You can use different baits and work out what the fish want on the day. Anyway, look, if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And for any of the gear, the tackle you're showing here, have a look at my website, howtofish.com.au.